years ago, I heard a saying, and it's always kind of resonated with me. It's you don't have to get it right. You just got to get it going. And I think so many people don't do that. I listen, I'm a perfect example of that. We've all probably done it, but I think speed of ideas, speed of systems, speed of serving your customers. It's so important for, again, the customer experience, the customer satisfaction, the 5-star review that we're looking for on every single job, speed to get the job done.
This is the Wealthy Contractor Podcast, brought to you by G4 Marketing. Interviews with today's top home improvement entrepreneurs about marketing, sales, money, mindset, and lifestyle. Now, here's your host, Brian Kaskavalciyan.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. This is Brian Kaskavalciyan with G4 Marketing Group. And I have got back again. It's been a little while, though. My longtime friend and client, John Rogers. John, welcome.
Thank you.
Rogers Roofing. We have been friends for, it's got to be like 12 years now, 11 or 12 years now. And this guy, you look at him, he just keeps getting younger and younger. When you see him on screen, just gets younger and younger. So yeah. I'm going to ask John, for those of you that don't know who John is, I'm going to ask him to give us a little summary backstory. But as we were going back and forth talking about doing the podcast, he came up with an awesome idea, and I loved it. And he said in the email, wouldn't it be great to be able to have a conversation with our 25 or 30-year-old self? Yeah. What wisdom, ideas, or thoughts would you share? Many. Or what are the top 10 things I wish I would have known when I was 26 or even 36, now that I am 56?
Oh.
What a great topic. So before we get into that, my friend, give everybody like the 60-second version of your story. Give us an idea about what Rogers Roofing is doing today. And then let's jump into and go talk to our 25 and 30-year-old selves.
Well, Brian, I believe that I may be your longest tenured contractor or customer, I should say, right?
Pretty damn close, probably right after Charlie.
I think it was us in, one of your conferences that we saw you at like 11 or 12 years ago. So it's been a long time. We've had many journeys together. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
My journey is, I've been a roofing contractor. My dad started the company in 1968. I was a roofer. I took a lot of pride being a roofer. I actually thought I was a really good one. I would tear off roofs. I would put them on and make our customers happy. We worked many years out of our house because it was really kind of a side job for my dad. He was a Chicago fireman. When I got out of college, I said, I guess I'm just going to keep roofing until I find a real job. Well, it just kind of came to become a real job. And I brought in some friends that worked with me, and they're still working with me and for me to this day. We've grown leaps and bounds. We have 45 full-time people. We do siding, windows, gutters, fascia, soffit, everything on the exterior of the house. We've got a wonderful sales team. I've got an awesome administrative team. I am really, really a lucky guy. I work with family. I work with some of my best friends, and I am so lucky to be a part of it that I sometimes pinch myself.
That's awesome. And you've built a great company. You're in Indiana, outside of Chicago.
Right. Yeah. We're in Hammond, Indiana, which is basically a suburb of Chicago for the most part. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, where do we start? What's like the first thing you would go back and say to your younger self?
Your old self. One of the things I thought that was, when I was thinking about this topic, I said to myself, back in the day, we always talked about that top number, like, hey, I'm doing, $2 million worth of business, or, hey, I'm doing $3 million, whatever those numbers may be. never really concerned about what the bottom number was and how important that bottom number was. You're making a decent living, you're providing for your family, but let's be honest, as I talk to my 36-year-old self, that profit number was really important, and it still is. It's vital to the business and to our company. We used to think about business and how well we were doing. It used to be like checkbook accounting, to where I'd wonder, so what's in the checkbook? And that's how well we were doing. Do we have any money to make payroll? Could we pay the bills? And without knowing anything about, financials, whether it's the profit loss report, your balance sheet, those are all things that I actually learned from people that I've networked with over the years that taught me, what those things are in accounting 101. And I'm blessed to have, those people around. One of the other things I said to myself was, just how important it is to surround yourself with really smart people. And what I mean by that is I started going to conferences, probably in the early 1990s. Richard Kaler from CCN was one of my mentors, and he would come to Chicago and he would do a sales conference for Certainty, and listening to his sales process and listening to his charisma and showing how he did things. This company was doing $10 million and we might have been doing $1 million at the time, and me I wanted to be that guy. And I said to myself, even back then, I said, if I just do the things that he's doing, maybe I'll get to that. I'll get there someday. And I learned that from Richard Kaler. I've learned that from Charlie Gindell, and I've learned that from all the awesome people that I've met through your group and also through Certified Contractors Network. You're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. And I tell you what, if I was talking to my 36-year-old self, I probably didn't surround myself with the best people maybe 20 or 25 years ago. But today, I really try to do that. And I'm blessed because I learned so much from so many people.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So top number, I was like that too. It's like, it's your ego. You're completely driven by your ego and we see it today, don't we? I mean, it's amazing. You go to conferences and people are getting up there and talking about, well, I did 10 million, or I did 50 million, or I did 100 million. And I was talking with somebody the other day, and I remember going to I'm going to give as little detail as possible on this. But I was at a conference a few years ago, and there was a guy up on stage that they brought up on stage, and he had this chart that showed his sales. And it was like like a hockey stick where it goes like straight up like this over time, right?
Yep.
And that year or the year before, they had done $100 and something million. So you got all these people in the room that are looking at this guy thinking, oh my God, this guy's got it all figured out. Well, I was talking with somebody the other day who actually knows that person and knew the reality of that business. You know how much money they lost that year?
How much?
$13 million. And you got this guy up there like,
tooting his horn,
swinging his, talking about, look at how amazing we are. And everybody's looking at this thinking, oh, I want to be $100 million company. Well, I'd rather have a $5 million company that makes $1 million than have a $100 million company that loses $13 million.
I think all day long, all day, air day,
all day. So you said another thing that was really, really important. So you talk about checkbook accounting. So this is another thing that we see a lot of, and I know you've been exposed to it. Talk to me a little bit about what checkbook accounting is versus what you do now.
Well, back in the day, checkbook accounting is when you're a little naive and not understanding basic accounting principles, is that, you judge how well you're doing of how much money you have in the checkbook. Hey, we got 30 grand in there. Hey, we're doing good this week, without any other parameters, no other ideas about how well you're doing. Well, when you start learning about, how important and what gross profit is, and what net profit is, those kind of things. Again, where I learned from Charlie Gindell, how to price jobs properly is, knowing what you have to multiply your direct costs in order to get a certain profit, knowing what your overhead is, all of those things, that really took our business to the next level. When you're able to fully understand your accounting, now you're able to price jobs the right way. You understand overhead. I mean, we job cost every job that comes through. We talk about things that maybe didn't go right or didn't, the things that we did do right, things that maybe went wrong, and how we can fix them. Either it's on the sales end or the production end. But 15, 20 years ago, job costing, right? Hey, we'd be laughing. What the hell's a job cost? And when you do those things, you really, you get other people involved. You get other people part of the conversation about how to fix things in your company. And man, that's a really cool thing. And then all of a sudden, guess what you have at the bottom? Profit. Man, look, hey, we're making money. And of course, we know what that brings. It brings, maybe better vehicles, raises, health insurance, better profit sharing, bonuses, all those kind of things come into play with profit. And, never could have talked about that when we were talking about checkbook accounting, right?
Yeah. So, when you talk about profitability and all of the things that it brings you today, a lot of us have issues with getting people to come to work and keeping people at work. And how important is it for you at your company to be able to offer your people those benefits?
Yeah, well, it all comes down to, pricing the jobs right, controlling your overhead, having profit. And Brian, like I told you earlier, we're so lucky and so blessed. I've had people that work for me 15, 20, 25 years. And, they're part of the family. They're some of my best friends. They're my family. And you can't do those things unless you're making profit. And of course, you're paying them well and you're trying to take care of things. And, let me ask you
something about that. So aside from the fact that I don't want to embarrass you, but you're like one of the nicest people I've met in this business. You always have a smile on your face. You've always got something positive to say. In all of these years, I've never once heard anything negative come out of your mouth. So let's put all of that aside for a minute, okay? That alone, because there's a lot of nice people in this business, that alone does not create a culture. Because what you're talking about is the new buzzword, culture. So what is it? What do you think it is? Aside from the fact, again, that you're just a nice guy and you're always, the always positive part, not everybody is always positive like you are. So that may play into it. But do you have any idea of what the other stuff is? Why do people want to stay working with you for that long? Why do your friends want to stay with you? Your uncle and your aunt work with you.
Yeah.
And you're still family. You still love each other after all of this time. I mean, like, what do you think it is?
Brian, I don't know if I could put my finger on it. I mean, it's just, I choose, I guess I've always said, when I wake up in the morning, I get to choose how I'm going to act, and I get to choose that I'm going to be positive today. No matter what happens, I'm going to try to make things better. I'm going to try to do things better. It may not always work out, but at least I try to always have a positive attitude. I always believe that I can make things better. Sometimes maybe that to a fault. I've also learned maybe to live like in gratitude. Gratitude is so important. We sometimes tend to dwell on the negative. We tend to dwell on, maybe the bad things that are going on, or the challenges that we all have in life. Well, we all have challenges, but there are so many things in probably a lot of people's lives that, we should be grateful. We should be grateful for the things that we have, for our health, for our families, for our successes, for the people we get to work with. I mean, we got a lot of good things to be thankful for. And I think a lot of people tend to maybe forget about that. So I don't know, maybe I'm just a positive guy that people like to work for. I try to help as much as I can. I try to bring a positive attitude to work every day. And you know what? Maybe it rubs off on people. Maybe that's why they stay.
Okay. Yeah. So what else? What else would you tell your 26 or 36-year-old self?
I think another thing I think about is, is speed. I think speed is important. I think a lot of businesses and a lot of entrepreneurs, they try to get things perfect. They try to, tweak it, and they try to just get it to where it's going to be, perfect. And years ago, I heard a saying, and it's always kind of resonated with me. It's you don't have to get it right. You just got to get it going. And I think so many people don't do that. I listen, I'm a perfect example of that. We've all probably done it, but I think speed of ideas, speed of systems, speed of serving your customers. It's so important for, again, the customer experience, the customer satisfaction, the 5-star review that we're looking for on every single job, speed to get the job done, speed to do a quality control inspection, speed to, get your wonderful thank you package in their mailbox. That speed to me is another one. I think that, years ago, I just kind of would think of things and I wouldn't implement because I was trying to make it perfect. But boy, oh boy, I sure would have done things a lot faster back then.
Let's pause here for a quick break. In today's world, getting a 5-star review on Google from every single one of your customers is critical. This is something that G4 Marketing Group helps hundreds of home improvement and home services companies with every day. So we put together a free 5-star customer experience checklist to help you ensure every one of your customers are getting an experience that will turn them into raving fans. You can get your copy of the customer experience checklist today. Just go to g4marketing.com/CEX. The checklist will walk you through 30 points in your customer journey that you can improve today. That way, you'll be able to turn today's customers into tomorrow's leads, sales, and profits. Just go to g4marketing.com/CEX. That's GFOUR marketing.com/CEX to get your copy of the checklist today. Then, when you're ready to automate your relationship marketing so that your customers grow your business for you, just give G4 Marketing a call at 305-856-8788, and we'll give you a free demo to show you how your future business profits are hiding in today's customers. Now let's get back to the episode. So, what's interesting? So, we are recording this less than a week away from Accelerate, and John is going to be there, even though, so that goes back to surrounding yourself with smart people. What's interesting is John can get up there and teach the damn thing for 2 days, but he's coming there as an attendee because you never know who you might meet or what one idea you might pick up. So I just wanted to circle back to the smart, surrounding yourself with smart people thing. But one of the things that I'm going to actually be talking about is that sense of urgency. So you're calling it speed. If you don't mind, I call it urgency. Mm-hmm. And it's the same principle. And it is one of the things that I've noticed in the most successful people is that sense of urgency. And I love that saying is,
you don't have to get it right. You just got to
get going. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can steal that. I'll let you use that.
Will you? Okay, thanks.
That's good.
I'll add that to my steal list. But no, I think that's really good, strong advice. Mm-hmm. How do you do that though? How do you like today at our ages, at our advanced ages, that was a joke. It wasn't very funny. I'm sorry. But I think we have this more of a sense of urgency as you get older. Mm-hmm. How do you think you would have inspired your 30-year-old self? Like if there's somebody in their 30s that's listening to this and hearing urgency, how would you have inspired yourself if you can go back? Or what would you say to that person, John Rogers from 20 years ago, to get them to go a little bit faster?
I mean, Brian, maybe it has a little bit to do with like reverse engineering, like just, knowing what the end result is, what you're trying to accomplish, and reverse engineering it. But then once you get to the point of starting quickly and make adjustments as you go along. Like I said, don't have to be perfect. Just get it going. So many times, brilliant ideas in our head. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to hire this person. We're going to create this job. We're going to create this system. And whether it doesn't get off the ground because as entrepreneurs, we've got, 10,000 other things going on. Like, what do you say? Squirrel. In getting the idea, the system off the ground, and then getting it to the end result. I think a lot of us just don't do that, and I have that battle today. There's so many things I try to implement maybe, and I don't, because I get in my own way. Yeah.
Well, the one advantage that you and I both have today that we didn't have maybe 20 years ago is we have a team of people around us that if there is something that we all of a sudden say, well, wait a minute, we need to get this going. We could give it to people and say, all right, go get this going.
Yeah. How great is that?
That's a great place to be.
And I think, if you were going to ask me, what was the number one thing that I would want to tell my 25 or 35-year-old self? Build yourself a great team, because listen, you can only do so much. You can only go sell so much. You can only install so much. But if you want to be successful, you help other people be successful, and you let them make decisions. Man, some of the greatest thrills I get in business is when somebody in my company comes up with an idea. They're like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, we're going to think about doing this system or that. I mean, I'm like, man, I work with some really smart people. This is pretty cool.
Okay. So you just brought up something really good there too, is you're talking emotional maturity too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of driven, I'm going to say D-type personalities, disc profile, D-type personalities, real driven to succeed. A lot of those people, their ego gets in the way and they don't like it when it's not their idea.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I tell you, I'm not the sharpest guy. There's a lot smarter people than me, and there's smarter people in this company. And when they come up with ideas, listen, I think it's great, because you know what?
I agree.
The things I learned years ago is, maybe that guy, maybe it's your warehouse guy, or maybe it's your permit expediter. Maybe he's got an idea that a system that can make you more efficient in your inventory, or maybe more efficient of getting the permit. But you know what? A lot of those guys, maybe they feel like their voice isn't heard, or that their voice isn't important. Well, you know what? Yeah, it is, man. Some of the best ideas may come from those people that are, maybe it's your warehouse guy, your permit expediter, maybe it's one of your installers. But, I do try to ask them, hey, how are things going? Anything new, anything I can help you with, maybe bring out an idea that they have, because you never know, that idea might, make you a lot of money.
By the way, going back to the other question, when I was asking you about how do you build that culture, there you go. There's one of them, is listening to your people and actually valuing their input. This goes back to the smart people, surrounding yourself with smart people. I always say, and I know you're like this too, is I don't ever want to be in a room where I'm the smartest person.
No,
ever.
No.
I just want to be in a room of really smart people. And when you're when you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
I agree.
And that's not a jab to anybody else that's in the room. That's just not the best place for you to be. But then if you are the type of person that seeks that out and you have to be that person, you're going to have some issues.
Oh yeah.
You're going to have some issues.
I mean, like going to Accelerate. I mean, I look forward to that so much. And my sales manager who comes with me, Kevin, he looks forward to, just because we know we're going to be around really smart people and people with great ideas that want to share their ideas. And, I'm a great stealer and plagiarism of ideas. When I come to Accelerate or any other conference, that's what we're there for. And, maybe, I'd be able to give somebody a little knowledge and maybe they'd be like, man, it's a great idea. I'm going to use that in my company. I mean, marketing ideas, sales ideas. Oh my gosh, I've stolen so many great ideas over the years.
Yeah.
Take credit for them, but I can't. But
Well, and what's funny is this year's, you just say, you've stolen these ideas.
Yeah.
This year's theme is success leaves clues, and those clues lead to shortcuts. So those shortcuts are exactly what you're talking about. Is why am I going to go reinvent the wheel? Why am I going to go try and figure it out on my own when I could just call John and say, hey, John, how do I do this? Or I've got this problem. How did you solve it?
Yep. That goes back to speed. That goes back to speed of where, instead of me trying to figure this out, I know you already did that. You already did that process I'm looking for. I'm going to find out what that is and use speed to implement it into my company instead of having to check all the boxes and figure it out myself.
Yeah.
Why don't I do that? I'll call you.
Yeah. So that, by the way, that I think, when you said if the number one thing, I think I agree with you 100% is surrounding yourself, building a good team of people. But, as I think back to just myself 20 years ago, I don't know if I had the wherewithal to be able to judge whether or not the person I brought in was the real deal. Because I had some of those issues where I brought in the wrong people.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Brian, and that even goes back to the thing of, when we go to hire people, like especially, salespeople, back in the day it was, oh, he's a good guy. Oh, I can make him a great salesperson. Oh, he'll be just like me. He'll go out and sell whatever it is. And, 6 months later, he's crashing and burning. Like, God, how did I miss that? Yeah. Well, nowadays we've got, people that have, that they can, companies that provide a test that can tell whether or not this person is going to be a successful salesperson. And, listen, there were years I've used this guy, a particular Grant from Pinnacle Group, for years and years. There were guys that maybe I went against his judgments. And he'd say, Johnny, you probably shouldn't hire this guy. He's not going to be good. And I'm thinking to myself, I know better. I'm going to hire him and I'm going to make him a great salesperson. And then I'll talk to Grant, whatever, a year later. Hey, how'd that guy work out? I fired to let him go. He's like, I told you. And you know what? Shame on you for not taking the information he's giving you and taking it to heart, saying, hey, listen, maybe he knows better than me. So we use these tools, these systems to maybe make better decisions instead of and my gut saying I can make him a good salesperson. I don't do that anymore. We go by the data and let what he has to say. And there's all kinds of ways to hire people like that and get the right people in. But I know what you're saying because I did the same thing.
Yeah, I think, as I think back on it for me, and I know that you and I both do this today, but when you talk about, you got to know your numbers, you got to know what's going to get us where we want to go. So, if we want to do whatever, if we figure out, I'm trying to keep the math easy. So if we're going to do this quarter, we have to do $1.3 million. We have to install $1.3 million. You break that out into 13 weeks, it's $100,000 a week. So if you're having a meeting every week and you say, all right, how many leads do we need to make that happen? How many sales do we need to make that happen? How many jobs need to be installed to make that happen? And everybody knows what those numbers are, and people are being held accountable to those numbers. Then you find out real quick, do I have the right people or do I not have the right people? Do I have the right team or not? And I think for me, I think that's the thing I think that I was really missing back then.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, it's if I could have that conversation with my, 25 years or 36-year-old self, it would be to, trust the data, trust the people that do these things instead of trying to figure it out myself, because those mishires cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah.
The salary, the lost opportunity with leads, the leads that they burned, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Customers they pissed off.
Oh, absolutely. So, it was, that's definitely one of the things that I learned. And one of the things, if I had that conversation with my 36-year-old self, would be
nice.
People like Grant that can, find and test maybe prospective employees.
Yeah. What else you got on your list?
I tell you what, the other thing I thought that was really important is that, outsource the things that you don't do very well so you can focus on the things that you do well. And, listen, for whatever reason, Brian, your group and what you do for your clients and what you've done for our company for years, and in regards to, the thank you at the back end with the referral rewards and everything. I mean, I can't even imagine the man hours, the people I would have to hire to do those kind of things that have such a positive impact on our business. And, so we use you and your expertise and your people to, get us to where, we want to be, and we focus on the things that we do best.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to do it all yourself, sometimes you've got to just lean on people that do it way better than you. So that's another thing I thought that was important.
So, what's interesting. So that goes back to what you said first.
Mm-hmm.
What you said first was if you're focusing on profitability rather than sales.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're focused on profitability, you can afford, because right when you said that, my initial thought, I'm thinking back 20 years ago, I'm thinking, yeah, I was cheap. I had to keep my money. I had to hoard it. Money would come in, but the problem was there wasn't enough of it coming in.
Right. Yep. That's right.
And so the profitability conversation, focusing on the bottom number, not on the top number, would help alleviate that.
Sure it would. Yeah, absolutely it would. So it's, I thought that was important. Just, like I said, it allows me to focus on the things that I do best.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to do things, that I don't do well.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, this has been very, very, very good, John.
Yeah, it's always fun, Brian.
Always fun.
Yeah.
And you've been married for a really long time too.
30 years. Yep. 30 years, 3 kids. My oldest son works for me. My middle son, Jack, who and my daughter, Lily, is graduating high school this year. So
wow.
A lot of cool things going on in the world, in my life. So
yeah,
it's exciting. Just part of the journey, pal. Just part of the journey.
What's the secret to a great marriage?
Oh, don't go to bed angry, I guess, would probably be one of those kind of things. Communication, probably another one of those things. Let's keep that line of communication open. It always can be solved if you can talk it out. Yeah.
Well, cool. Went from marriage to business, because I actually think that, and I've been very fortunate too, that, I've had the same woman for this year's going to be 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps.
Yeah,
sure, it helps the business. It helps like that. So you go back to your 30-year-old self and make sure, hey man, you better marry well. You better marry well.
Yeah. Find a really good partner. Yeah, that's important. It is. Like I do. We're lucky. We're very lucky. We got a couple good ones.
Yeah, we got a couple good ones.
Yeah, we do.
All right, my friend. Well, I am really looking forward. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years since
we didn't come last year with COVID. Yep. So we're looking forward to getting down there and getting a little sun, little education.
Yep.
Always a great event, Brian. I mean, I'm telling you, anybody listening or watching this really needs to make it a point to get to Accelerate, because
thank you.
It's one of the best events that we've ever been to, and we'll continue to go to, because every year we seem to always find some really great ideas, and being in Fort Lauderdale in February is not a bad thing either.
That's not a bad thing either. Yeah.
Nope.
All right, cool, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Brian. I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. So Tuesday night we'll have a beer together.
And you'll buy.
I'll buy. Yeah, for sure.
Sounds good.
All right, John. Thank you so much. And to everybody listening, this is, I always say, there are episodes, and I think a lot of them, but I think this is another one to go back and listen to again. I think that John's words, John's advice is super relevant, regardless of age, I think. And he really gave us some of the things that make business work. And so again, John, thank you. I appreciate it. And again, everybody listening, until next time, this is Brian Kaskavalsian with G4 Marketing Group, and this is the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. Let me ask you, did it help you look at your business in a different way? Did it spark an idea or ideas that you hadn't thought of before? Do you have a list of action items that you can take and implement into your business or your life today? I really hope so. If it did, I'd like to ask you a favor. Would you leave a 5-star review of the podcast? By doing so, you'll help other contractors find the podcast more easily so that we can help them achieve more success, wealth, and freedom. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to the Wealthy Contractor Podcast so you get access to the latest episodes as soon as they're available. We're always striving to provide you with great content so you don't want to miss what's coming up. In fact, if you haven't already, make sure you go to thewealthycontractor.com and get your free copy of my latest book, The 7 Secrets to Becoming a Wealthy Contractor. Just pay shipping and handling, and I'll take care of the cost of the book. And finally, a big thanks to G4 Marketing for sponsoring the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. For over 12 years now, G4 Marketing has been the secret back office relationship marketing team for hundreds of home improvement and home service businesses just like yours. You get the customer, and our proven system turns that customer into 5-star reviews and profitable repeat and referral business. If your home improvement or home services company completes at least 10 jobs per month, they have a solution that will work for you. To find out more, sign up for your free, no obligation, 10-minute discovery call at www.g4marketing.com/strategy. That's GFOUR marketing.com/strategy. Set your discovery call up today, and they'll help you set your business up for long-term profits and success. So until next time, this is Brian Cascadalcio.